Welcome to this episode of Chattin With Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Paul Manning. What's going on, Paul?
Nothing much. You? How have you been?
I've been working, grinding, doing interviews, doing lives, getting awards. I got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
I see you going viral.
I'm trying,
Nothing to report you here. Life's boring.
Yeah, but a lot of people have been asking about you. They don't know exactly who you are, but you have some inside knowledge about the legal system up there in Canada, and you have some old memories with one of these viral sensations that's up there in Canada.
Who are you talking? Oh, Donny Wonch.
Donny Wonch. How did you meet Donny Wonch?
I jumped in the ring with Donny Wonch back in, it's going to be 2006. We used to train together at a gym downtown Hamilton. Box, Thai box, some other stuff. That's about it. Had a few scuffles in the ring, and we left it there. Decent guy.
Did you drop him in the ring?
There was an incident. There was an incident where, let's just say, he wasn't playing by the rules, and he got slapped.
I heard he's a dirty fighter.
You know what? Not the best boxer by any stretch of the imagination, but fuck, can he take a punch?
I see that. Yeah, he seems like a tough guy, but he's a little wobbly, a little sloppy, right?
Yeah, you know what? I think he came into it a little later. I started boxing when I was young. He came into it a little later, but for the skill he lacks, he more than makes up for it in strength and just sheer toughness. He could take a hit.
Do you think if he would have started boxing when he was younger, he'd probably be really good, right?
He's got the frame for it.
Yeah, he's a huge guy, right? He's huge.
Yeah, some people just don't have the speed for it, or the timing for it. And I think boxing's 99% timing anyway. It's about not being somewhere and throwing a punch in the right place. So I don't know. I really don't know. He's, you know what, Joe Steele, so he can take it.
Now, when you were sparring with him and things, did he know that you worked for the police force?
No, nobody did. Something we kept secret. I was undercover.
So you were undercover when you sparred with him?
I was infiltrating the Hells Angels and the Mafia at the same time. 2005, 2006, into 2007.
Who was he with at that time?
He wasn't with anybody. I think this is 20 years ago. So he was, he must have been, what, maybe 24, 25? He was just starting out with to hang around with the Hells Angels. And I think that's where his path sort of took a pretty wrong direction. His old man was there a few times watching him box. He seemed like a decent guy as well. I don't know whether he's still around, but another tough guy.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of stories about Donnie, and he's been in a lot of clubs, about 6. He's been in the Outlaws. He's been in the Red Devils. He used to hang out with the Hells Angels. Then he went to the Outlaws. Then he went to the Indigenous motorcycle club.
The Indian, yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to them. I spoke to a lot of them guys. They seem like good people. They help the community. Yeah,
you know what? I love the Indigenous community. I mean, you don't hear about it back in the UK, and then you come over and you realize what a travesty it is, the way they're treated. So, all my interactions with native population have been great, even with policing in uniform. So, no complaints. He bumped around a lot. It's when they tried to get Satan's Choice up and running again. No, the Outlaws up and running again down in Niagara Falls. He jumped into that group. He was a member of Ruthless, which was run by Lou Malone, which was supposed to be another group that didn't really take off.
Mongrel Mob.
Yeah, and then he went to I think he ended up with the Devils, and he got booted from the Devils recently. They don't like you talking about stuff online.
I think he's back in the Red Devils because he shows up with a tattoo now on his stomach of the Red Devils.
Doubt it very much. Bikers are pretty good when it comes to the code of conduct. They follow it. They're pretty religious with it, so I doubt it very much.
They were at his last boxing match.
support. I don't know. I really don't. I
don't know. So I'm not sure, right? I can't say 100% if Donnie has convictions. I know he's been arrested a whole bunch of times for a whole bunch of stuff. How in the world did he make it over to the UK?
Well, if he's not got convictions, he gets on a plane and gets off the plane on the other end. If somebody's got convictions, then it's pretty difficult to get into another country with convictions. The US, he can come and go as he pleases. He's indigenous. They can't stop him. So even if you have a murder conviction, or you can cross the border. But the UK, they've got a pretty good system. He's been to a few other countries though as well, but he keeps ending up in either Scotland or England. Yeah, they've got a pretty good system. All outlaws, all organized criminals are put on Five Eyes as a matter of course, which is the intelligence network between I think Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Canada, and the US. So they check Five Eyes, but as soon as you get on a plane to go to another country, then their special branch or their special unique unit will get your name. They'll get the passenger manifesto, and then they can look down that and they can run it. And they're not running 95-year-old grannies. They're looking for younger guys. They're looking for females, and what they'll do is they'll run it on the system. They can run it on the RCMP system through the RCMP if they've got any suspicions. But they'll also check Interpol as well. But sometimes you could have a criminal conviction and just not disclose it, and they just don't find it, and you can enter another country. I think did Harley not just Gwydden not just got turned away from? I can't remember. Yeah, he just went on vacation. They turned him away.
Dominican Republic.
It was in Dominican.
He was in the Dominican Republic. He got turned away another time from another country earlier this year. It was somewhere in the Caribbean, and they turned him away.
He's definitely got previous. So it would suggest that Donny doesn't have previous convictions. I don't know. I really don't. I stopped dealing with him after. I stopped looking at him after, I'm going to say 2008. There was a shooting at his house. His house got shot up, and that was it.
And he didn't talk to the cops then, right?
Not at all. No, I didn't say a word. His kids were in the house as well. That was probably Lou Malone that shot the place up. And that's over a disagreement. That was when Ruthless, the club, started to fall to pieces. And he had a house in Niagara. I won't say where. And it got shot up. And the cop spoke to him, and we knew who it was. The cop spoke to him and asked him, and I guarantee he knew who it was as well. And no, didn't say a word. Kept stum, silence.
Some people, something like that will happen, and they'll run right to the police and tell on the person, right?
Yeah, even the guys on the other side of the fence. Some of them will come and speak, but there's a lot that'll speak to you anyway. But the bikers are notorious for they're notoriously hard to get talking to, especially for police officers.
Well, you were undercover and you were infiltrating these groups, and how was that? Like, how was that? Like, as a stressful situation, was it stressful doing that
with the bikers?
Yeah.
So here's the difference: the mob, they talk through everything, they think through everything. They very rarely do something on a whim. Whereas the bikers they'll lose it, especially when they're coked up. They'll lose it. They'll hurt people. That's just the way they are. So yeah, I'm a lot more cautious when I was around those guys, not for my own safety, but from an operational perspective. If they hurt somebody in front of me, then the operation's done. All that hard work's gone. So I talked a couple of guys down a couple of times, but no, they were pretty much okay with me until we got compromised, and then they just stopped talking to me.
Because they knew you were working with the police, right?
They didn't know. They suspected that a corrupt police officer had told them that I was undercover. And they went to the Mafia and told the Mafia, and the Italians said, no, not a chance. It's not this guy.
Your own police unit told on you.
They did.
So how deep does the corruption run up there in Canada?
Hamilton's pretty bad. You've got to go into the history of Hamilton. Hamilton's been around for, I don't want to say the city's been around for hundreds of years. It has. Everybody knows that. But during the time of Prohibition, a lot of the alcohol that came down to Chicago and that was run by Al Capone came from Hamilton. And that's why you've got this mafia, this big mafia presence there in that city. And they used to pay cops off for turning a blind eye to running alcohol.
Yeah.
And is it really that big a deal? Well, obviously the bribery is, but the booze, is it that big a deal? I mean, we made our own issue there, as far as I'm concerned, because what happened when these crime groups formed during Prohibition, mostly, and then when we made it legal again, or the government made it legal again, those crime groups still wanted money, but they weren't going to get money from alcohol anymore, so they started to traffic other things like drugs and women and anything that makes a buck.
Yeah.
And people, yeah. So I think we effectively, as a government entity, created organized crime, especially in Canada.
And there's a lot of them up there, right?
It's crazy. It really, people don't believe how prolific the organized crime groups are in Canada. It's like, can I put it? Your politics at the moment are a meth house. They're an absolute mess, okay? And we're the young couple that lives above you in the apartment when it comes to politics. When it comes to organized crime, it's the reverse. We're the meth house. You're the young couple that has to live below us. And you have your own issues, but not like Canada. Not for the amount of people and it's just, it's crazy. Shootings and stabbings, and it's
a lot of murders, a lot of street gangs, a lot of mafia types, some bikers.
A lot of homicides, a lot of hits, especially out in, and I know very little about Quebec. It's not something I've looked at, but the mafia out in Quebec, they're especially prolific. And the bikers, when you piss the bikers off, you're asking for trouble. I think there's a biker called, he was Saint's Choice, called Johnny K9. You heard of him?
I've heard the name.
Larger than life character, professional wrestler, wrestled Hulk Hogan. Bit crazy. Went to it was Satan's Choice. I think it was Sarnia. They lost their license to run a chapter. It must have been Gwydden that took it off them, the old guy, Bernie. So they lost the license to run the chapter. So they said, no, we're going to carry on going. So Johnny K9 was tasked to go up there with a bomb and blow the place up, which he did. However, he got there and it was empty. It was vacant. So waste not, want not, he went to the local police station and blew the local police station up. That was Johnny K9. He was a bit crazy. So these guys they're a different breed, the bikers, definitely.
A lot of notorious figures come from Canada.
Yeah, Stadnik, Gwydden. He's probably the most famous, the most infamous, infamous biker in Canada's history. Then you got Johnny K9. You got some crackers from Quebec. Some real lunatics out there. But yeah, they're. I mean, when I was undercover, there was I can't remember, down in St. Thomas somewhere, and it was I think 7 or 8 of them were murdered at the same time by the same guy. They just kept walking into the house. He kept shooting them, and then he put them all in the boot of a trunk of a car and parked in the middle of nowhere. But that's while I was undercover, so I'm thinking, you know what, perhaps stay away from those guys.
So what does it feel like when they sell you out? Your own people sell you out.
It's a betrayal. Everyone's been betrayed. Everyone's been cheated on, or lent money to a friend who didn't pay it back, or I don't know. It's a betrayal. It's probably worse than the actual, because there was an attempt murder that came from it. It was probably worse than the attempt on my life. You trust these people, and then it turns out as you move through time and stories of other police officers, you work out that they were never trustworthy in the first place, any of them. So I'm not talking about the uniformed guys, I'm talking about the guys that I work with in that specialized unit.
Yeah. What were can you walk me through the attempt on your life?
You know what? I'll put it. You've been in a fist fight, Bill.
Hmm?
Yeah.
A whole bunch.
Yeah.
A whole bunch.
This was 22 minutes with 4 guys. And it was split up into 2 parts. I think it was 7 minutes for the first one. And then it was another 15 minutes for the second part. And they had knives, and they were throwing bottles, and they were trying to hit me on the head with concrete blocks. And it was I was pretty beat up. I gave as good as
out of that. How do you get out of that?
Just fought through. I just fought through. It was late at night, these guys were cracked up as well. I don't know whether they'd done coke or crack before they decided to come and challenge me. They came at me. They told me they knew I were a cop, and then it just kicked off. How do you come through it? I don't know. You don't die.
I've had people try to kill me as well.
Yeah, I know. And you're still here.
Yeah.
How do you come through it?
You just keep pushing, man. I mean, I don't know. When you get smashed in the face with a brick and you wake up on the sidewalk, you're like,
yeah,
oh, I'm still here.
It was a mess. It really was. And I drove home that night. I knew that night that when I drove home, I knew we'd been sold out. I bought crack off these guys for literally 6 months, and then all of a sudden they just turned on me. So, and then it all came out through Lou Malone, and that we've been sold out.
So after that happened, do they arrest these guys? Like, what happens?
Who, the guys that tried to kill me?
Yeah.
So we identified two of them. Two of them we never identified. One was called Tommy Reardon. One was called Shane Reardon. They were brothers. And I bought crack off them so many times. I'd even been to their home address. It was up on Charleston in Hamilton. And I bought crack from them there. And they said they'd arrest them straight away, and they didn't. They left it be. They had to arrest them maybe 4 months after the operation ended. They went up to a hotel up in Waterdown, which is like north Hamilton, and they killed a guy called Michael Walsh up there. They beat him with a lampshade, and then they shot him in the stomach and watched him bleed out. But it turns out they'd also shot somebody in the back of the head with a shotgun a couple of weeks before they tried to kill me. He survived. I spoke to his mum maybe 8 years ago now. He's impaired, but he's still alive, and he can still do some of the things that we all enjoy. But they took his life effectively. So they got convicted of that, and then when they got into jail, they killed another guy in jail as well. So
damn, they're just on a murder spree. Huh?
They were. I've dealt with a serial killer before, and police officers very rarely deal with serial killers. But I dealt with one back in the UK, and the expression, the blank expression, was exactly the same for these two. They were just complete psychopaths. There was no feeling or thought to it. It just something they wanted to do, so they did it.
Wow. So tell me about Edmonton. Do you know anything about Edmonton?
It's in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. What we talking about? The police?
What about Oshawa and organized crime around these areas? I hear that they're really bad with gangs and bikers, gangs, all kinds of.
They are, and it's not per se an issue until they start arguing. And when they start arguing online, it becomes an even bigger issue. Because they're effectively doxing themselves as to what they are. They're telling everybody what they are and what they're about. Yeah, I'll come and fight. Yeah, I'll drive up to Oshawa and fight you. Yeah, come on up. We'll fight in the gym, or we'll fight in the store. And it's bravado and it's stupidity, if you ask me. Just keep your mouth shut. Just get it done. But the organised crime's pretty standard throughout Canada. So Edmonton's going to be the same. I think you get further out to Vancouver and places like that, you're going to get a mix of East Indian crime groups that are absolutely huge, that don't muck around. Whereas your East Indian crime groups in Brampton and Mississauga, which is just west of Toronto, they're more car thieves and burglars and things like that, fraudsters, as a gang, not as a community, but as a gang, as part of that community. But they're getting lifted all the time because they've got Peel and they've got York to contend with, and they're two pretty good services in my opinion. They do a good job. When it comes to biker enforcement, though, I don't think there's anyone polices biker enforcement better than the cops in Ontario. The biker enforcement unit with the OPP and all these other little units, they really know what they're doing.
Yeah, but they got new laws they're trying to enforce over there, patch bans and things, right?
Which, you know what? If you're going to put a patch on and tell me what you do for a living as a police officer, as an investigator, let them do it. As far as I'm concerned,
you don't think that's a violation of your rights? Do you think everybody in a motorcycle club is a criminal?
No, just 1% apparently.
No, like everybody in a 1% club is a criminal. You think?
So this is the thing, okay? They're called outlaw motorbike gangs. You know the reason why. It's nothing to do with criminality. It's to do with the fact that when the AMC, so the American Motorcycle Club, first started enforcing rules against these motorcycle clubs, certain groups just didn't want to follow the rules. So they call them outlaw.
They want to live by their own code. They don't want to deal with nobody else.
Yeah.
I mean, but does that make them all criminals?
No. And then you get to a stage where the AMC is being questioned about outlaw motorcycle groups, and they say, well, the bad guys. This is what they say. The bad guys, they're just 1% of our motorcycle, and that's where they got the terminology 1%ers from. Okay. Do I think that 1%ers are bad people? I'm going to say there's an above average chance that a lot of the members of these clubs are using those clubs as a conduit for crime. Okay, the Hells Angels don't become Hells Angels. They don't want to get patched into the Hells Angels to help old ladies across the street, and they want to commit crime. They want money. It's as simple as that. And it's the same with Saint's Choice. And it's the same with, however, you've got this unique scenario now with Saint's Choice where Harley Guidon's come out and he's effectively branding it, and he's making it very public. And that merchandising from that brand could be quite profitable, and that profit could keep that organization away from crime. However, when you've got chapters throughout Ontario and then throughout Canada and then throughout the world, which is probably what he's edging towards, you're going to get it's going to attract criminals. It's going to attract other bikers. I mean, look at Guidon's. He's not without criminal charges, is it? So, in fact, I can't think of one biker I know that's never been charged.
Yeah. No, I know quite a few that's never been arrested. So,
well, okay.
I know some that's never been arrested. They have pistol permit, like they're law-abiding citizens. They're just in a motorcycle club.
Mobsters that have got firearms licenses, which are pretty hard to get in Canada. So yeah, they've never been arrested. They've never been charged. And I mean, I used to sit with the Papalias, the old guys. They were in the 70s. I'd sit and have a brandy with them almost every morning, and those guys had never been arrested. But they've been working the streets for
the old Satan's Choice versus the new Satan's Choice.
So the old Satan's Choice, as in Emmerich Rourke and Johnny K9, were those two, along with all the people that they recruited, were a force to be contended with. The stories of just the two of them going into Hells Angels clubhouse, which was full, and threatening everyone, and then just walking out. They were pretty intense. They're both dead now. The new Satan's Choice is at this moment in time, it's just a branded organization. There's no suggestion of criminal activity. There's no suggestion there's going to be criminal activity. But they're saying they're 1%ers. They're saying they're outlaws. That, to me, usually means that there's going to be criminality.